Year two under Bill O'Brien, and Boston College is bringing back Grayson James after he replaced an injured Thomas Castellanos pretty early on in the season. Overall, it wasn't a terrible performance from him throughout the year, as he did lead Boston College to a 7-6 record overall. This year, though, the schedule is going to be a lot more difficult. You got a road trip to Michigan State and then some difficult matchups in the ACC, playing a lot of the better teams in the conference with Pitt, Clemson, Louisville, SMU, and Georgia Tech. And don't forget another non-conference matchup with Notre Dame, who was in the national championship last season. 7 games are at home and 5 on the road, but overall, this is a pretty tough schedule at a 7 out of 10.
Starting the season off against Fordham, not much needs to be said here. 100% chance for this Boston College team. Turning a starting quarterback is going to be huge in this one for the Eagles, so 100% chance. Then they have two straight road games to honestly really tough environments. They're tough for different reasons, but starting off with a road trip to Michigan State, Aiden Childs, after last season, showed a lot of his potential. Is a very athletic and dynamic quarterback, but needs to limit his turnover numbers. I think this Michigan State team in year two with Nick, is it his second year, Aiden Childs' second year at
Mhm.
Michigan? I think Michigan State in their second year with Aiden Childs and also after Nick Marsh's incredible freshman season is going to be a very good offensive team. Maybe they have to fill a couple holes in the defense, but I think overall with the home field advantage, I think the Spartans are going to be the better team compared to Boston College. So only a 20% chance for BC here. Then they have a really tough road trip to Stanford. Tough because it is so far away. You're going from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast. And even though the Stanford team is probably going to be pretty bad, especially after losing basically their only offensive weapon in Alec Minor, this is still just going to be a tough road trip for that reason because it is so far after that Michigan State game. So a 45% chance here, but easily could be a Boston College win because they're still probably going to be the better team. It is just because of how far of a road trip it is.
Then going back home to face Cal after the bye week, and kind of the opposite of the Stanford game, this is a long road trip for the Golden Bears. And just overall, Cal, they lost Jaden Ott in the spring transfer portal window, and just not really going to be quite as good as we expected them to be. So this 25% chance for Boston College doesn't really reflect that. Realistically, probably going to be more of a 50-50 game when it actually comes down to it. Next is a road trip to Pitt. This one not going to be easy whatsoever. Eli Holstein back at quarterback for the Panthers. And overall, going to be a pretty solid team with a lot of returning talent on the defense. They should be very, very solid and have a chance to win most of these ACC games that they're in, including this one, only a 30% chance for Boston College here. Back at home to face Clemson. Again, they're going to be the favorites in the ACC, as they have been many of the past seasons. And yeah, Dabo, he's got a really good team. And just overall, we do think that Clemson, with Cade Klubnik returning as one of the Heisman favorites, is going to have a really good chance to win this game. Only 15% for Boston College.
After that Clemson game, they stay at home and they'll be taking on the Huskies of UConn. Now, UConn's an interesting team. In the past, they have been one of the worst teams in all of college football. But last season, I believe they got to 9 wins and had probably their best season in program history. And they're returning most of the production that they had from last season. So I think this UConn team is going to be very solid. This isn't going to be just a normal game for this Boston College team. I think they'll still be favored, especially with it being at home. But this is definitely one to watch out for Eagle fans. Still going to be a 65% chance for BC, but once again, this could turn out to be a sneaky, interesting game. Following week, they go on the road to face Louisville. Tyler Shupp is out at quarterback. He just recently got drafted by the New Orleans Saints, but they are bringing in Miller Moss to replace him after some ups and downs at USC, but definitely has a lot of potential to lead this Louisville team after a very successful season, a season that saw them beat Clemson, and they're looking to take control of the ACC right now. I think Louisville is going to be one of the more dangerous teams in all of college football going into next season, especially with it being on the road for Boston College here. I don't think are going to stand much of a chance here. Only going to be a 25% chance. Then they come back home and they face the runner-ups in the college football playoffs last year, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame losing Riley Leonard to the NFL draft as well, but they are returning Jeremiah Love at the running back position, likely going to be the number one running back in college football next season. And this Notre Dame team, similar to some of the best programs in college football, don't really rebuild. It's always just retooling. And I think that's what they're doing. They have brought in a good amount of transfers for the quarterback position. Even though they've lost a lot of their offensive line, they are bringing in guys to replace it. And they just develop offensive linemen like like it's nothing. So this Notre Dame team is going to be the better team here. Boston College's biggest loss is that they are losing their star edge rusher from last season to the NFL draft, and that was Donovan Ezraku. He had 16 and a half sacks last season. That was half of Boston College's sacks. So defensively, Boston College will need to step it up, and I think against Notre Dame, whatever they have, it's not going to be enough. So only a 15% chance for the Eagles in this one.
Yeah, after that one, they're staying at home but facing another college football playoff team from last season in the SMU Mustangs, who are also returning their starting quarterback in Kevin Jennings. The Mustangs had a really good year last season and surprised a lot of people by making the college football playoffs before ultimately falling on the road in Happy Valley to Penn State. This should be a pretty solid team once again, though their schedule's a little bit more difficult, so they might not make the playoffs again. But we don't expect Boston College to be able to put up much of a fight, even though they're at home here. Only a 20% chance for the Eagles. Then it's Georgia Tech, who we are also very high on this season. Haynes King is returning at quarterback, and overall, very, very solid roster for the Yellow Jackets. This game is at home, but much like SMU, we don't believe that Boston College is going to match up very well talent-wise. And especially in this one, I think Georgia Tech's just going to be able to outscore this Eagles offense. So only a 20% chance for Boston College to win against Georgia Tech. And then after the second bye week, only one game after that stretch of eight, it's a road trip to Syracuse. Kyle McCord went to the NFL draft, ended up getting selected in the sixth round by the Eagles. And overall, Syracuse not going to be quite as good without him. Uh, Boston College won that game anyways last year. I don't know if they'll be able to do it again this season. It's going to be tough to pull it off on the road. About a 30% chance here, but definitely a winnable game for the Eagles.
Looking at the schedule as a whole, the big things that stand out to me is that they have a good amount of playoff teams from last year on their schedule, and just the fact that they have 8 games in a row between those bye weeks, with the bulk of those playoff teams being in there. Even though they have Grayson James returning at quarterback, like I said, losing Donovan Ezraku as basically the focal point of your entire defense is going to be a huge loss that they have to replace. And they do have a lot of returning production on defense. It's just not to the same level as Ezraku. So keep in mind also this was made with the Cal percentage as it is when the season ended. It's going to go up, but based off of this, it's going to be just tough to see this team winning 6 games. So I think anywhere from 3 to 5 wins is where I see them likely ending up. I think early on they have good opportunities, but through those 8 games in the middle, plus that Syracuse game at the end, those are going to be tough battles all the way through the season.
Yeah, I'm with you on that range. I think it's going to be, three is probably the worst case scenario. They could get, anywhere from 5 to 6 after that, but probably not going to see a 7-win season like we did last year. I do think it's going to be a slight regression from Boston College this season. So, like I just said, 7-6 in 2024, but the projected win total this season is just 4.1 wins. That is based off of all those percentages. So, like Connor just said, the Cal one will go up. Some of these other ones might go up. So maybe we'll see this around 5 wins. And our prediction also will likely go up to around 5 or 6 wins during the offseason. But for right now, our way too early prediction is 3-9, which is pretty well under the over under 5.5, which does slightly favor the under. So even Vegas isn't very confident in Boston College making a bowl game again this season. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.